Hello, everyone, and welcome to the review section of Table Flippin' Board Games.
We just played Forbidden Desert. We got our butts kicked.
A little bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's part of our month of pandemic, where we are playing a bunch of different games with the pandemic mechanic. But let me introduce you to us. I am Gillyweed. My co-hosts are Ogre Yonder and Gameface Killa. Our guest this week was Mr. Lard. Sorry that you had to join us when the game defeated us.
It's all right.
It was
You
really
win
fun
some,
to
you
have
lose some.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out we ran out of sand in a desert.
Yes.
Exactly.
Terrifying.
We sure did.
It was nice to have you on board. You were keeping track of some rules that I hadn't even seen, so it was really fun to have you on for this one.
Fun to be here.
Awesome. And we are on Misscliks. Make sure to check out Misscliks on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. I did that in like a different order than I normally do, and I was like, wait a second.
Space time, but book face.
Yeah, but we have lots of shows, and we are all about uplifting females in the geek and gaming scene, making gaming scene comfortable and a safe place for all. So check out our shows. We have a vast variety of different gaming shows. And with that, Game Fist Killer, why don't you do just a brief introduction of Forbidden Desert once again? And by the way, people, if you missed the play section, you can find that on Twitch or YouTube as well.
Yes, this is Forbidden Desert. And actually, as we were playing, I was starting to think that this is the game that's probably the furthest away from the descent mechanic that we've kind of been playing with. There is still the action allocation system where you have to decide how you're going to spend your 4 actions. But there is no set collection in this game, which is very different. There's gear there. You do collect some gear cards, and there are storm cards, which are sort of like the infection deck a little bit. But everything is a little bit more randomized as far as how you distribute how the sand gets distributed,
Yeah.
and where the tiles are going to be, where the treasures are. In other words, the cures of the game. You still have to find 4 cures of different colors, and then you have to get to the landing pad, which is similar to Forbidden Island, and escape from there. Basically, every turn you get 4 actions, and then you draw a number of storm cards equal to the level of storm. Another thing I noticed that's different about this game is you draw a lot more of the infection/storm cards than you do in any of the other games, and I think it's a little hard to do on the tabletop simulator than it is in real life, because it can be a little tedious once you start getting up to 5 and 6 cards.
Scooting everything around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you'll always do that at the end of your turn. There's always, just like Pandemic or Forbidden Island, there's always a bad guy phase at the end of every player's turn, which I think kind of scales the game. So if there's 2 players, there's only 2 bad guy phases per round. If there's 4, there's 4. So that kind of balances it out that way. And then, of course, if we got the 4 treasures and got to the landing pad, we'd win, but we came only about 50% towards doing that. Not even 50, because we still have to all get to the landing pad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So, yeah. So that's pretty much the game.
Yeah, it's weird that you don't have the deck that you shuffle back in, or you shuffle and then put back on top at all. It's
Right.
just that the storm can move through and like put sand on areas that already have sand, which is kind of the same, or at least the closest thing to it, but
Yeah.
it is very different.
Yeah, it's not like Pandemic or Forbidden Island where you know how many cards there are of that tile. So you know if there's a possibility of one getting covered again, or a tile sinking again in Forbidden Island. So you can't really card count like you can in those games.
Yeah.
Just estimate, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot less planning, I think, involved in this game, which
Yeah.
makes it it makes it a lot different from the others that we've played. Personally, I don't know why, but I think it's the second time that I've played this game, and I love the way that the storm moves. I think it's just such a
Yeah.
cool like mechanic. I haven't seen it in any other game,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I don't think it's very good. Like, I think it's really cool and it's a really neat idea, but you just can't plan anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way to counterplay the storm. It just kind of
Right.
runs around, does its thing, and if it covers up stuff that you need, well, too bad,
Yeah.
right? Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah.
You can't do anything. You can't expect it, or I guess there's a little bit of, well, it's getting close to to this. But because it has those 2 and 3 movement things, it can literally get to any tile on the board.
Yeah.
So, you'd get unlucky and all of your planning is just gone. So I think it's a little rough. I still think it's cool. I think it's a little more random than I'd like, but
Yeah.
like I said, like I love the mechanics, so I want it to work really really well. I just don't see exactly how. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it is very random because there were some turns where it would literally just move back and forth, and then the other turns where it's like fly to the other side of this like whole board region. It's like it's just a little too random.
Right. Yeah, and
I
you got
also
boxed in on one corner. That was
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of
it
funny
was.
though.
And a fort. It's like if this was snow, I'd be very happy, but it's not.
yeah. I also have a problem. My problem with the storm too, in addition, is that the cards show the way the tiles are supposed to move, but yet it's the storm deck. So I'm thinking that that's the way the storm should move. I guess you could technically do it that way as long as you stick with it, right? You're consistent, but man, it's
Yeah.
kind of tough. It's kind of tough. Yeah, it does have that really random aspect to the game. And it wouldn't be so bad if everybody except for I think Ogre's player, you can only uncover one tile or one sand token per action.
Right. Yeah.
What were some of the other character types that we didn't get to play?
Yeah, I wish I hadn't
Yeah.
deleted
Maybe there's
this.
something we were missing.
I can let me reload the game.
All right.
You can see here.
So you said that this was the same people who made Forbidden Island, but not Pandemic?
Well, the publishing company, yeah,
Oh, but it's still the same designer?
right,
Okay.
Matt Leacock.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't decide if I like the. I guess it's kind of one of those things where you have to decide if you want to play something that's more random and not plannable. When we played Pandemic last week, we were planning our last few turns down to like a science, right? And
Down
some
to the
people
action.
yeah, and some people had voiced that they don't necessarily like doing that. So in that case, maybe they would like this first, where it's more reactionary. You don't really have to plan your turn out at all. And it's much more like you just do it is much more like you do your action. Maybe you kind of plan it in sync when it comes to the water.
Right.
Or like trying to clear a specific tile, but other than that, it seems like you're much more just kind of your own entity than how we were, at least when we were playing Pandemic, and I'm pretty sure we were the same way when we were playing Forbidden Island.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just kind of a different. It's loosely the same type of game, but still quite a bit different,
Yeah.
and more for like people who don't want to have to coordinate the actions so much like we did last time. Do you think that well, first of all, Mr. Lard, what did you think of this game from a first-time player perspective?
I actually quite enjoyed it. Like, just like the anticipation, like what's under this tile, like, or like watching where the storm's going, like wondering where it's going to end up, like where all the sand's going to be, and just like, especially towards the end, like when it was like getting down to the wire, it's like this is actually really interesting, really exciting. Like I want to win this game. We didn't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. How were you able to watch last week's episode? I think I saw you in chat.
Towards the end, yeah, I was there.
Okay, cool. So you saw how we had to like really plan out our actions, like this card's going to be coming up, so this and this needs to happen on this turn so that this can happen on this turn. Do you think that from like a newer person of trying to get into games, you would like to start with a game more like that, or a game more like this one where it's a bit more randomized and reactionary?
I think for me personally, this game is actually probably a better starting point.
Okay.
Because they don't have to like necessarily plan as much, because like that could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
For this, like we had some planning towards the end for like the water, but that was really about it. And I think that was enough to like get me interested in that type of mentality, like keep wanting to get more of that.
Yeah. That's kind of the feeling that I was having is that maybe this is a little bit easier to introduce new people to the mechanic, but not have to be like, I want you to play this game with me, but I'm going to tell you what to do on every one of your turns.
Right.
Yeah, I felt free to like kind of do what I want. Like every now and then, it's like, should I be doing this? And you guys was like, yeah, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
I felt like pretty free about it.
Cool.
Yeah, I definitely see how that happens in this game. I mean, especially because it is random, so we kind of can't plan your turn for you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So your turn starts when your turn starts, and then you have control of everything that you're doing because we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
know what's under any of these tiles. So yeah, I can definitely see that. And I think I remember when I was playing. I played Forbidden Island first before I played Forbidden Desert,
Hmm.
and in both of these, just the planning of how to move through the game, like which order to pick things up in, or which order to the trading of the cards in Forbidden Island, or the I guess uncovering of the location with the piece on it, and then actually picking it up. Um, to me, it in both of them, it seems like a cooperative but individual achievement game, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
it's like both at the same time, you're all trying to achieve the same objective and you have the same failure conditions, but at the same time, you can feel like, oh yeah, I picked up the motor,
Yeah.
and like you can be the one to find the cool artifact or to recover the little figurine or whatever in Forbidden Island. So I think that's pretty cool, which is
Hmm.
something you don't really get with Pandemic. Um,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
because
guess
I
that's
definitely got
different as
like
well.
I definitely got like some co-op feel to it. Like when I was sitting at the well for I think 3 turns, just giving everyone water. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes, I keep everyone alive.
It was so important.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We would have pretty much died right then. So
Hmm.
I was
yeah, that
actually
was
going to
huge.
ask you guys. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you guys what you thought about the water mechanic. To me, I think that's something that they've added to these types of games that I think is one of the hardest, most challenging additions that they've made as far as a game mechanic. Because I'm assuming it's somewhat similar to the outbreak marker. Because obviously, if that gets too high, you die.
Hmm.
And then but then it's also a way of, like we were talking about earlier, a way of making players interact with each other, because you have the whole idea of sharing water,
Hmm.
and then you have to sometimes be in the same space to get water together. But to me, I feel like the water mechanic is extremely difficult. It's almost more than getting overwhelmed by sand or anything else. I
Hmm.
find it extremely difficult.
It so we got unlucky with water in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing that I think I would like to point out first is that in a bad game, if you're unlucky, two of your characters can die right off the bat
Yeah.
within the first round. Like you can take one turn and then your character's dead and the game's over. If you got unlucky and you drew three Sunbeats downs and then the second player drew another one, that's it. Game's over.
Yeah.
And I think that is my problem with that mechanic.
Right.
Because like you can counter it, but you can't really counter it if you're going to be doing the main objectives.
Hmm.
So maybe something like, I don't know, like if you go to the well, you can pack a canteen or something, right? And you can, like, it's
Right.
an extra two water that you can either take yourself or you can give it to somebody else if you're passing by, just so you don't, all of you don't have to collect at the well and then flip it over. Because we wasted an entire, what, 4 turns doing that.
Just about,
Yeah.
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 We
Like we
weren't doing
didn't
the objective at all. All we were doing was trying to get to the
Just
well.
trying to survive.
yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't die from the water, but only because we were so focused on it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We were way sacrificing in the other game mechanics because we were
Right.
focusing on the water. And had we not, we would have died.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I felt like we were unlucky with turns, but not so unlucky that we lost right away, which generally to me seems like maybe it's a little too OP, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
It's
think the way
definitely a
of
challenge to
replenishing,
manage.
yeah. And there are some different ways of managing water, like the
Hmm.
the solar shield and the wells and the tunnels. But unless you're having a pretty good amount of luck with those, which the solar shields were okay. I don't think I used them quite as effectively. Um, the tunnels, some of them didn't show up until the very end, and then the wells,
Hmm.
we it was hard to coordinate those. It's always hard to coordinate those, but
Yeah.
it's kind of lots of things have to go your way when it comes to water.
I think another
yeah.
thing, like when we did draw those sun beat down cards, like it was almost always two. Like we would draw
Yeah,
one, then like
that's
two
true.
cards later, it'd be a second one.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think that's just unlucky, but
yeah. That's
It
tough.
happened.
But we used all of the water that we could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got to every
Every well.
oasis. We
Yeah, we
had
didn't
like
hit
most people at every oasis. And we used the special card. So I don't really feel, yeah, it did seem like it was really like wrecking us. The water was.
Mm.
I would have liked to see, outbreaks are not individual. It's not managing 4 individual people's meters. It's
Right.
1 meter
Right.
that maybe a similar thing would have been like every time you have like so many sand dunes on a tile, like every time you get one of those storm rises cards, you up like or like lower the water meter for however many of those that you have. So that would be like a way for you to like make sure you're getting across and
Oh,
like
right.
clearing those out and keeping those
Yeah,
low,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
like an outbreak
Outbreaks. Yeah.
instead
Mhm.
of having 4 individual meters or however many individual meters to
Yeah.
try to run, because it seems really weird to just add that in for this game specifically.
Especially if you have to keep all 4 people alive.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
can
Oh,
let somebody
yes.
die. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I know this game's all about cooperation, but if you can let somebody die and like you just, because I feel like if we had done that and like you guys hadn't had to have wasted a turn on coming to find like fetch me,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
then we probably could have made it.
Hmm.
At least it would have
We
been a
still
lot. It
hadn't
would have been
even
a lot closer to the
revealed.
end.
We hadn't
Yeah.
even revealed.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but we would have done a lot of things different, right? If we weren't
Yeah.
Right.
messing
Mhm.
with that, and we're suddenly having to like collectively deal with this one thing instead
Yeah.
of all dealing with our individual. That's another thing, I guess, that just makes this more of an individual game instead of. I mean, it's still cooperative, but the fact that you can't plan your turns together and you can't like you have to focus on your own individual water and can do stuff
Mhm.
that ups your water, or you might have to do stuff that ups your water but doesn't up other people's water because you have to do it or you'll lose for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, which is the kind of strange thing about the well, right? Like if you flip it over and it's just you, then you've actually hurt your team.
Yeah, that seems
Yeah.
weird to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time you also hurt your team if you just die.
That is a very
Mhm.
good point.
So because
Right.
everyone has to stay alive.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's definitely interesting.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think I want to play this game a few more times just because I like the storm mechanic, honestly. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
cool. But I think both times that I've played it, we've had the same issue basically.
Hmm.
You should play Arkham with the Innsmouth, I believe, horror expansion, because it
Mhm.
has kind of a similar mechanic to the Storm.
Does it?
Isn't that the one, Gabe, with the rifts? Sorry,
Oh,
Game
yeah.
Phase. With the rifts that like move around randomly and they just like randomly go to a location and then start spewing out a bunch of monsters and then they like
Yeah.
move to another location and then spew out more monsters. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
think it's similar-ish.
Hmm.
But I would say that out of all of the pandemic games, and we haven't played, there's one that I haven't played. So out of all the ones that I've played, this is my least favorite. But
Mhm.
it's not so much so that I wouldn't want to play it. I'm on the same boat with Ogre. I want to keep
Mhm.
playing it and see if there's like some strategy that we're missing.
Mhm.
But I think it's a really good one to play with new people because of the more random aspect and allowing them to
Mhm.
like get into the game more. And the fact that it's kind of just refreshing to play a game that's a little bit different, that's still like, oh, it's a cooperative, it's easy to play and fast to play, right? So you think
Yeah.
pandemic, but if you're wanting to play something that is a little bit like, just easier, maybe you're like just hanging out and chatting and just kind of half-heartedly playing a board game or whatever while you're hanging out with people, then it's a lot better, I think, than playing something like Pandemic, where you have to way more be focused on the turns.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd agree.
What do you guys think about the artwork since you were flipping
Oh,
everything over?
yes.
I've been
I think
found
I
out.
really love the tile artwork.
Mhm.
Yeah, me too.
It's
It
very,
looks-
it's kind of steampunky.
Yeah, it's
but-
steampunky.
Yeah. I think I love the artwork in this. I think it's really, really good.
Is it supposed to be like a lost civilization that's been buried underneath a desert?
I think so. I think that's kind of what it's hinting at.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely they definitely do a really good job with the art, making it look really cool, but it's still kind of lighthearted and family friendly.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, an ancient desert city is all it says.
That's really cool.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And the pieces we were getting were for I'm assuming, one of their own like airships.
Hmm. Yeah,
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
yeah. So that was the only way we could escape because our plane was, of course, destroyed.
Are the pieces, do the pieces actually look like pieces in the game, or are they still just little squares?
No, they are actually, if you remember, you can actually put the pieces of the airship together.
That is awesome.
Can you
Yeah.
really?
That
Yeah.
is so cool.
Oh,
Because I
that
was
is
like,
cool.
surely after Forbidden Island, because those treasures are so pretty,
Hmm.
the treasures for Forbidden Island. I was like, surely they didn't just make 4 squares.
Yeah.
That is so neat that you can put
Yeah,
them
it's,
together.
and like the sun crystal is like a resin piece, like the fire one is.
Right. God,
And then
that's
you've
awesome.
got that. Yeah, you got the fan, and the engine is kind of silver looking, or yeah. So each piece is the same color, but it looks like what it looks like on the artwork in the bottom corner.
This is a good place to mention here, guys, that although we do play on Tabletop Simulator for ease, we always play games that we have purchased, and we highly recommend that you purchase them as well to support the game developers. And that's why we do these reviews, is so you guys know what games you might want to pick up.
And I could have sworn, I don't know why, but when I went back on to the Steam Workshop to find this game, I could have sworn that at one time I saw that the maker was GameRight. So a lot of companies are putting their games on here for you to try, and then they usually leave a little note that says something like, if you like this, try to have at least one copy for the person. So it's really cool that game companies are supporting the whole try before you buy thing, because a lot of games are really expensive for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our main reason for wanting to do this show. Other than
Mhm.
it's an excuse for us to play board games together
Right.
with friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, so that we can provide reviews in a way, because we know that they're expensive, and it can be scary purchasing a game that you don't know how to play yet, and know if you'll actually like it. So that's the goal here. Also, I'll just point it out that I like that this follows the Forbidden Island way of characters.
No portraits.
Yep,
Yep,
no portraits.
nothing.
I'm all about genderless characters now. That's like my new favorite thing. I'm really
It is
pumped
pretty
about the
cool.
games that are doing that, or
It's-
at least the ones that have both, if not that. But that is something that's really cool to me. It's unnecessary, right? It's really not needed.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of
Yeah.
situations, I'd agree.
Yeah.
It is funny that they refer to us as pawns, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand for like more role-playing games
Right.
having
right.
it, but I mean, like for this type of game, it would be unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
DefEbware points out a good thing too. Another great way to try board games is stop by your local conventions. They often have rooms full of them and a bunch of people willing to play with you.
Yeah, and usually a lot of comic book stores will have game nights. If you check them out, a lot of them have demos, and then they have people who love to run games and teach you how to play. So that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have a couple right here in Austin.
Yeah,
Shh, no one knows where we're at. We're in a secret location.
you
Yes.
mean Austin, Minnesota?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
clearly.
there is an Austin, Minnesota.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I don't think so. I think we
No.
pretty much talked about everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm willing to give it another try, even though I've lost twice now.
Yeah,
But,
Like, even though I lost, like I want to go back and play another games. Like maybe I'll get
Yeah.
different luck with the drawing, different luck with the tile, like locations and all that sort of thing.
yeah,
Maybe even try a different hero character.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe our combo could have worked better.
Yeah.
I don't think either game that I've played in, I've seen the Meteorologist. That one looks pretty cool. So I have to try that out next time.
Urologist.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's cool. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Looks pretty good.
Because we all know they can move storms.
It's true.
Yeah.
They literally control the weather.
They're
I took a
phenomenal.
meteorology class. That's what we did.
Well, you'll have to let us know, Mr. Lard, if you do play it again and when and what your strategy was.
Mhm.
For sure. And thank you everyone for watching. We hope you enjoyed this. Next week, we will be playing my favorite of the pandemic games,
Really?
pandemic mechanic games. Yes. I love that game. What I don't even
more than
But-
Pandemic, huh?
Yeah,
What-
more
what
than
are we
Pandemic,
playing?
more than Forbidden Island, and Forbidden Island's always the one that if I'm like, oh, new people want to play games with us, let's play Forbidden Island. No, this one is my favorite of the Pandemic games. It's one of my favorite games.
Even with dice rolling.
Yeah, I love that game.
Wow,
What is the name of it? I can't even remember the name.
The tension, it's building. What
I
is
Are you
it?
know.
talking about Defenders of the Realm?
Yes, Defenders of the Realm. It's so good.
Cool.
I love that game.
It
You
is
can.
really-
There's lots of ways to like mitigate the dice rolling.
Yeah. And it's like the super smash up because it's like the descent mechanic, but designed by the guy who did Arkham Horror. So,
But it's Wait, do you mean Pandemic mechanic?
well, yeah, because you have to kind of collect sets. You know, there's 4 diseases are the 4 groups of monsters.
Oh, you said Descent mechanic, so I was
Oh,
really
I'm sorry.
confused.
Pandemic mechanic.
Okay, yeah. But it was designed by the
Mhm.
person who made Arkham Horror.
Yes.
That is exactly why I like it so much. I bet
now we
that's-
know.
Is that
Yeah.
Corey Kineska?
No, it's Richard Lanius.
Richard
He has-
Lanius, you're my new best friend. What did Corey Kineska do? Is that Battlestar?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And other awesome games.
Corey Kineska is my second best friend after Richard Lanius.
Yeah.
For reals, though, that makes so much sense why I like that game so much because it's
True.
Arkham is my favorite game. Okay, anyway, I'm digressing. We're playing Defenders of the Realm next week. It's going to be awesome.
Hmm.
I absolutely cannot wait.
And then in 2 weeks we have the big secret code
Yes.
name.
The actual secret. Something's gonna be happening on Xmas.
Did you say codename Xmas?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that will be on Xmas. Oh, that's weird. How that
What?
happened that our codename Xmas project will be on Christmas.
Interesting.
That's very strange. Anyway, that will be a surprise for you guys that we're really looking forward to. We were talking about what we were going to do for that, and it's going to be a good time. But we're also promising that it won't take up a lot of time because it will, of
It'll be
course, be on
short.
Christmas. Yes.
Yeah, it'll be a very short episode.
So anyway, looking forward to the next 2 weeks, guys. Finishing out our pandemic series, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to leave us comments or tweet at us, whatever you want to do. And thank you again, Mr. Lard, for playing with us.
May I
That's
do
best.
one thing?
Yes.
Absolutely.
May I flip the table?
You may flip the table.
Yeah.
Woo!
Nice.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.